but they found a way to combine the soul and the jazz with electricity. With electricity. With electricity. With electricity. With electricity. With
Welcome to the second in the series of our catching up. Life in lockdown has been a crazy one for us all. But I thought as we start heading out towards a bit of normality, we'd catch up with some old friends. And this chap, he definitely qualifies a bit as an old friend. I think I've known him probably getting on for 20 years now, and he's been on the show a fair few times. So good evening, welcome, Oli Silk. Hello.
Hello, and great to be here.
Yeah,
How
good
you
to
doing?
have you. Yeah, good, thank you, mates. You?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very good, and thanks for having me. Yeah, it's very nice, and it's nice to see you after so long.
I know it's been a while. I think the last time I properly talked to you, or certainly the last time I talked to you on the show, you were backstage at Wembley, I think, or somewhere with Barry Manilow,
That's right.
heading around there. And apologies now that I didn't get down to see you down in Bournemouth. It was the one day I've been ill in the last 4 years, and it was the day we were due to come and see you.
I remember. Yeah, that was. Yeah. Oh, no worries, mate. It's a shame. Yeah, that was cool. You missed a good show, mate. Let's keep our fingers crossed that Barry decides to come back over again. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how's life been for you in lockdown? Busy times or
It's
quiet?
been okay. It's been there's been ups and downs, as I'm sure almost everybody has had. There's been good experiences and there's been frustrating experiences. I think in general, I'm feeling quite positive about what we've been through. I think as a family we've been kind of quite lucky that you know I was able to continue working to some degree. Lots of my peers, particularly musicians who didn't necessarily have another string to their bow, so to speak, have fallen on very hard times. So I was lucky that that I could, even though the gigs obviously weren't there, that I could do production work, and also I had the latest record came out, literally like 2 weeks after we went into lockdown, so that was all sort of scheduled to come out anyway. So that was good. That gave me a little bit of impetus before to move forward. And yeah, so I think in general it's been good, but there's definitely been some pretty difficult times. Losing, excuse me, losing gigs and shows and that interaction with other musicians and stuff like that. Gosh, I think it was only after the first few months that I realized how much I took that for granted, and just how much I missed it and still do miss it. I'll try and keep up with keep up to date with everybody and keep in touch with as many musician friends as possible, but yeah, it just you well know, there's nothing quite like being on stage. It really is quite a buzz, and life without that has definitely been difficult.
I think we've missed it on both sides, I suppose, being on stage, but also going and watching, live music, live shows and all of that stuff has definitely been one of the biggest things that I felt over this time, in terms of missing out on just that sort of feeling of let's pop and see a show, or let's pop and watch a concert. Now, you mentioned your new album that came out about a year ago now, called Six.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm guessing is your sixth album. Hence the name.
You got it.
Sussed it.
Chloe's in the title there. Yeah. In fact, what? I think it may have actually come out a year today. I'm looking at the calendar. I'll have to verify that, but I think it was the 21st of April, 2020 that it came out. So yeah, it's entitled Six. It's been a bit strange because obviously, it came out and I did, a lot of promotions, mainly like we're doing, like Zoom and some telephone interviews and things like that. But of course, it's very strange because I haven't to this day had the chance to play any of those songs on stage, So the sort of, the set has been sitting, mothballed for the last year. And I can't wait to actually play them and see what they sound like live. You know, it's very odd. It's never obviously happened before.
No. So I was thinking about while I was getting ready today for this, that about kind of how recording in lockdown has been. But of course, this, I guess, was all done and dusted before we hit lockdown in terms of recording with other musicians or any of that business. So you didn't have to try and figure the logistics of that out, I'm guessing.
Luckily, no. It was as I said, we went into lockdown whenever it was, towards the end of March there, and yeah, it was everything was already done. In fact, I'm just trying to think. The fact that one of the last things that we did was the photographs, and it was bubbling around, but there was no restrictions yet. But that was sort of one of the last engagements, professional engagements that I had to go to before we then locked down. But yeah, so it was quite lucky. I think it could have been a lot worse. I mean, but there was a time about 2 weeks before release date where the distributor in the States actually was going to just pull the plug on all their releases for all the labels that distributed through them, because they were concerned, because they were obviously losing the retail side of it, because all the supermarkets and all the the Walmarts and then Barnes and Noble in the States and all those sorts, the places that stock music were all, of course, closing. So they had a bit of a wobble, and I was slightly scared about that. And my record label rang me and said, "Oh, they're thinking of postponing and putting it back for a year." I thought, "Oh man!" I said, "I've just been working on this for 3 years and it's just finished, and now I've got to wait for a year." And so in the end, I was given the choice. It was wait a year, or it can be released, but it can only obviously be released digitally for the time being. I already had product that I'd ordered, but there was then an instruction, like all the rest of the actual physical product was just going to be held in the warehouse, and it would just come out on Google Music, Apple Music, and all that sort of stuff, and Amazon and things. And I agreed to that. I thought, well, I'd rather have it out, even if it's not every avenue right now. I thought, to be honest, as things stand, most people are going to want to buy it or listen to it online anyway. There's not much scope for physical copies. Of course, at the time, we thought it was only going to be a matter of a couple of months, maybe, or a few months. But here we are. But there we go. I think it was okay in the end. I think it did very well, considering. I was very pleased, and the radio singles did very well in the States, especially under quite high traffic not consequences, but a high traffic kind of environment where it wasn't just me releasing music. Everybody else has decided to release music because no one's doing any shows. So you've got this huge influx. It's still like it now, really. This huge influx of recorded music. So I've had to fight against the tide a little bit with that. But I'm pleased so far how it's turned out.
It has been doing very well. You had a number one with New Bounce, and I think your current single is "Hurry Up and Wait," and that's. Well, last I looked, it was at number 4. I'm not sure where it is now.
It's at number 5. It fell back to number 10, but it's had a second surge, and it's back up to number 5. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, that's far succeeded my expectation, really, because there's so much good stuff out there, and there's so many big artists within our genre who are releasing. At this time of year, you'd expect these guys would be touring extensively, and maybe they wouldn't have time to record so much music. So yeah, to be up there with those is it's a great honor. And like I said, second singles, because like you say, New Bounce last year, great, number 1. I was absolutely over the moon about that, considering I hadn't had a release for, like, I don't know, 3.5 years or something. It was a very long time. So you always worry that you're not relevant anymore, or like people, as you get older, you just think, okay, well, maybe I've left it too long. But sure enough, it did great. and then to have a second single do really well is good too. So we'll go for a third single, see what happens.
Absolutely. Now you've explained this to me before, but I still don't really get it. But luckily you do. So particularly in America, the charts are more based on airplay, aren't they? And they're sort of split out into different genres. So you're the smooth jazz charts, I think. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so it's based more on radio play than it is on physical sales as such.
It is, yeah. The physical sales side of it is very much separate. So the ones we kind of keep our eyes on are Billboard, which obviously is a very big company and a very big indicator. And then the genres are broken down almost ad infinitum. There's every type of small genre that's come out of another genre, and and then within that there's, I don't know, I think with smooth jazz there's maybe 16 or 17 stations in the States that are big enough to be Billboard reporting stations. So yeah, they pick their playlists and we go from there. In fact, the biggest one is not FM, it's actually Sirius XM. You probably may have heard of that, but yeah, Sirius XM, the satellite station, very big in the States, maybe not so big worldwide, I'm not really sure, but so they have a dedicated smooth jazz channel on Sirius XM, which is obviously broadcasting people's cars digitally and everything. So that's turned out to be by and large the biggest station. It's the biggest, it's the biggest revenue stream for all of us guys. So if you can get a record up on there and it does well, then then you're good. You get a lot of exposure from that. So, but yeah, that makes up one of the, like I said, 17 or so stations playing the songs.
Again, we've talked before about kind of what defines smooth jazz, and I think one of the times we talked about it, we were trying to debate whether how comfortable you were with just being smooth jazz, given that your music, it's got a bit of funk, it's got a bit of soul in it, it's got a bit of everything in it, really. But again, just for anyone who's not really sure, what defines smooth jazz as opposed to traditional jazz or any of the other jazzes? What's the difference?
I think the biggest, generally speaking, and obviously you could get super minutiae on the details, but I think generally speaking, the structure of a smooth jazz song differs usually to a traditional jazz song, where the structure of a smooth jazz song is very much more like a pop structure, where you'd have an intro and then perhaps you'd have a chorus, then a verse and a bridge, or like a pre-chorus and then a chorus verse. You know what I'm talking about, just a classic pop structure, where you wouldn't get a solo until maybe the outro, or you'd have a solo section, much like a pop record, and then you'd come back to a chorus and you'd be, and then you'd have a fade out or something like that. That's a generally accepted rule for this genre, whereas a more, a traditional jazz structure is, establish the melody and then put all the solos one after the other in the middle, and then re-establish the melody and then finish. So you have the melody at the start and at the end, and it's just they bookend all the solos. So, which obviously is a very different listening experience. But it's built for radio format. It always was. It's like jazz for radio, and that's how it started. And that's why from about 1989 to say 2005, it was just so huge in American radio. I mean, probably 3 out of the top 5 radio stations in the country, like playing anything, even the pop stations, were smooth jazz at that time. They were absolutely huge. And even when I first got in, I used to play in San Diego a lot, and they did big festivals there, and that was sponsored by the radio station, and they were the biggest radio station in San Diego. And that's a very big urban area, and to go up against all the pop stations and still come good just shows you how appealing it was at the time. But yeah, so sorry, back to the question. I think that's the biggest. I mean, obviously there's very stylistic things. You could get very deep into the slight differences in stylistics, and you could say that perhaps it's easier to digest smooth jazz than it is straight ahead jazz. I don't know. It has a wider appeal. Not really sure. I think it's more it's more rooted in R&B and pop than it actually is in let's say bebop, for instance. Like let's take jazz in the middle, and then we've got bebop and fusion at one end, and I think, and then if you go down the other way, you've got, you know, R&B jazz or that kind of thing. And I think smooth jazz definitely owes a lot more to that, to the soul and R&B of the 80s, basically, but just instrumental.
So when you're writing an album or writing a song, where do you begin? Do you just, are you just messing around and something clicks, or, you know, what's the starting point of that tuning? Because I know when I've written songs in the past, for me, I tend to write from the words and then kind of get an idea for what the tune might sound like, what the backing might sound like. Obviously, particularly if you haven't got any words, where do you begin?
I think I generally will begin with some chords usually, or just, you know, I'll sit at the piano and I'll just, you know, vamp around with something, and then something might stick. Oh, I like that. Okay. And I'll either then expand it, or usually, you know, I'll pull up the sequencer, pull up Logic on the Mac or whatever. And then I'll just create a loop of something, and then add a bass and add some, you know, programmed drums or something, even if they're just interim, you know, features for the time being, just to get a feel for it. And then invariably, probably 7 out of 10 of them just fail miserably, and that, you know, you just you listen to it and you go, that's great, but I just have no idea what else I'm going to add to it to make it an arrangement, you know. But you know, 3 out of 10 or something like that actually, you know, get expanded into something much bigger. So that's pretty much it. I used to work differently. I used to work very much like I pull up like a drum kit on the sequencer or on the computer, and I just sort of, you know, create a rhythm track first, and, you know, go for the groove first, and then see what I could play over the top. But no, I generally don't do that now, because I think that you get a better song if you start with the song, or if you start at least with the chords, maybe not the melody so much, although sometimes it comes early. But yeah, it's kind of trying to do it in a songwriter way rather than a producer way, you know, rather than like, right, we're going to produce this from the ground up. We're going to start with drums, and then we're going to put, you know, bass on top, and then figure out the melody at the end, which, you know, it can work, but, you know, I think you get more richness of arrangement if you start there. So.
And like any typical Oli Silk album, if you've caught Oli Silk albums in the past, it's full of fantastic names for the tunes in your album 6. Particularly liked Slinky Malinky. That was one that stood out. So obviously, New Bounce we talked about, and Hurry Up and Wait is definitely one of your in very much in your style of naming music.
It is. Hurry Up and Wait is definitely the musician's mantra, I think, because being away and touring, that's all you ever get told to do is hurry up and wait in a queue, or, you know, waiting for a sound engineer to finish, you know, hooking it up while you're all ready, or whatever, waiting for the audience to come in because the doors have opened late, whatever it might be. But it's always, you know, get into position, but don't do anything.
So that again, once you told me that you often name your tunes over a gin and tonic or two. So yeah, Slinky Malinky, I'm guessing it was at least a couple in there.
Oh, do you know what? Slinky Malinky is actually a children's book that my children used to love. It's a book. What's the author's name? Julie. Oh no, what's her name? I can't remember her name now. That's terrible.
Julia Donaldson?
She did a series of books. New Zealand author.
Oh, okay.
No, not Julia Donaldson. Dodd something. Oh, Lindsay Dodd, I think her name was. But yeah, Hair Clary from Donaldson's Dairy, and it was my wife's favorite book when she was a kid. I'd never heard of it before. So when my youngest was born, my auntie, her sister, my wife's sister, bought her all the books, and one of the characters is Slinky Malinky. And yeah, I've always had a fascination with Slinky Belinky because he's just really naughty and cheeky. So when I made that song, it just sounded a little bit cheeky. So I thought, well, Slinky Belinky is quite a good name for that,
That's because that's the other big change since the last time I've seen you. You're a dad. How has fatherhood been in general, and certainly how has it been over lockdown?
It's been good, actually. I can't really complain. They're good kids. I've got Amber's 6 and Cameron's 3 now. And yeah, it's been great. They've been really good. The kids have been very resilient. I think probably kids countrywide have been quite. They roll with it, don't they? Things change and they just accept it quite quickly and without too much hassle. In general. And ours did the same. So they really enjoyed especially, the first lockdown. The weather was lovely for most of it, and they just liked being in the garden. We were, we're lucky enough to be in a situation where we have a decent sized garden, and I know it's not been anywhere near so easy for other members of my family who've got, who live in a flat or live in cities or whatever. But yeah, they've been good. Yeah, I think the only thing is really that they didn't really want to go back to school particularly. they got way too used to mummy and daddy being around, and of course, I work from home as well, so so they've had 13 months of mummy and daddy. My wife's a stay-at-home mum, so it's been great. We've been a real little unit, and it's been lovely. And I definitely wouldn't change that for the world. But trying to coax them back to school has been hard.
Were you involved in all the home learning and all of that stuff? Were you getting stuck into that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did home learning with Amber, with our eldest, and that was working out pretty well. It's one of those things that started very positively, just started to plateau, just as we were getting back to going back to school. I'd say the last 2 weeks where there wasn't a lot of learning going on, but we were like, oh well, they're going back to school in 2 weeks anyway. It doesn't matter.
Well, end of term, you just watch videos anyways, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Call it that.
Yeah, but in general, it was a good experience family wise, and yeah, I think we're richer for it, actually, I have to say.
I think that definitely seems to be one of the themes from people I've talked to, as a positive of lockdown, is just having that bit more time for each other and a bit more time together. And it's, it's hard in some ways, it's hard to see how we're going to manage when we sort of have to get back to normal and are out and about a bit more. I just hope we can find a balance, again, rather than just disappearing straight back off to where we were.
So. Yeah, I hope so. I hope that there's some positives to be taken out of it. And as you say, I think the thought of going, touring or going abroad is quite daunting, actually. It's like, going on an airplane, it's been a very long time. I'm sort of excited by the eventual prospect of it, but yeah, just thinking about the logistics of touring, when you're at home, you just kind of, it's kind of easy, really. You can make your own time schedule and stuff, but yeah, so that's quite a daunting thought to go back to all that. And of course, it's going to be infinitely more difficult to leave the kids, even if it's just a couple of weeks or a few weeks,
And how are you feeling about, when the time comes performing again? You talked about earlier about missing it and all of that, and how there really isn't anything quite like being on stage and having that interaction with the audience. But obviously, like everyone else, you haven't done it for a while. How are you feeling about getting back to it when the time comes?
It's a mixture of, again, being slightly scared and being excited by the prospect, and I'm just hoping that within minutes you'll just slip back into it, but I think that first show, wherever it may be, will be slightly odd, but I just I think I get the feeling that the audiences will just be well up for it. They'll be so into it, because you know, like you say, we've just all missed watching live music, you know, as punters, we just missed it. And I hope that everyone just really embraces it coming back and makes everyone just feel at ease, you know. So, but yeah, there's a lot of planning to do, and I'm going to start on that quite soon, because, you know, I really, it's come at, like I said, it's come at that time where I wanted to change my set and add new songs, but not been able to rehearse and get together with other musicians and things. So that's on my list of things to do, break myself in gently and have a good couple of rehearsals with people, and just you know, get used to everybody again, and used to that spontaneous thing, you know, that energy that's not there at the moment. So
is that something you do sort of as a matter of course when you are touring? Because I was talking last week with Chesney Hawkes, and he was saying that his band just turn up, plug in and play, and kind of get used to it over the course of the first couple of gigs, and kind of get into the swing of it that way. But that, you know, he's likewise thinking, actually, let's have a couple of days, because we've got some new songs and we haven't done it for a while. So they're going to sort of get together. So, you know, is that kind of your normal pattern? You get together, sort it out, and then hit the road, or do you kind of take it as you find it?
It varies. I think depending on what I mean, like, you know, you've got the sort of the tour situation where you're in a band for a set amount of time doing a set amount of gigs, and yeah, of course there probably would have to be some sort of rehearsal situation for that. And then there's the one-off gigs. In general, in the olden days, in pre-lockdown days, it would just be turn up, and, you know, if you get an hour or two to rehearse before, you know, the audience come in and the doors open, then great, and then you can kind of do your thing and practice a bit. But in general, it's all done beforehand. But I think post-lockdown, I think we're definitely going to need to. I think we're a bit rusty, so I definitely think we're going to need to stretch out a little bit. I mean, with things like the Manilow tour, you know, there was fair rehearsals for that. I mean, there was more rehearsals for the Manilow band, and you know, the light and the sound and everything was just mind blowing what they had to rehearse. But even for us, you know, we wanted to get it right. So yeah, we went through quite a few rehearsals for that. But as I said, it's you know, it's a short, sharp 3 weeks of whatever, 18 shows or something like that. So you want to get it right, but then once you're show number 2, you got it right anyway, and you're good from then on, and then you can relax a little bit. But when I go to the States, it's a very different situation, because I very rarely have the same band, because I only ever go over on my own. I never take anyone over, because there's just never enough money to do that. So I have to hire bands, you know, in whatever city I'm in. And so it's a real hodgepodge of different musicians. And so I give them all the stuff ahead of time. And once again, I'd say probably only 5% do we ever get a resource. It's usually just, you know, nice to meet you, how you doing? Oh, what's your name? Oh, cool, right, okay, we're on stage. You know, literally just, you don't even get to talk to the people before you're playing with them, which is hilarious, because then I have to write, you know, I have to write everyone's name and stick it to the keyboard, because I've made so many name mess ups because I don't know who they are. So yeah, I'm like, oh. And that's the ongoing joke, you know. I'm calling out the band, and I'm like, you know, and here on bass, we met each other 25 minutes ago.
There was I did it in a show years ago. I did steal it, to be fair, off of another show, but it sounds like you need it. We sort of opened the show and said, we're going to introduce the band, because, you know, normally shows leave it to the end, but we thought, you know, it'd be nice if everyone knows each other. So going to introduce the band, then turn to the band and go, John, this is Neil, this is you need to do the same.
I like it.
Sounds like it's made for your shows. Made for your shows. Have you done any recording over lockdown? Have you started on number 7 yet, or are you kind of waiting?
I've done a little bit of number 7, but I've been doing some other. I finished off another project last year with a great guitar player, probably someone you should speak to at some point. Actually, he's from Swindon. His name's Roberto Restuccia. He's very nice blues guitar player, blues smooth jazz crossover. But he's cool. He's a real deal. And yeah, we worked on a record, finished it off at the end of last year, and it's just come out on the same label as I'm on in the States. And again, he's on the, he's got some chart success and things like that, which is great for him. So yeah, he's a really good dude and really nice stuff. So I'll you've reminded me now. I'll send you some stuff.
Yeah, do.
He's a very interesting person to chat with. You can talk about guitars. If the listener can stomach that, you can talk about guitars for a while.
One thing I always wanted to do with you when you weren't too busy being superstar, smooth jazz man, was I had this idea of recording with you the song James by Pat Metheny. Do you know that tune?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
one day,
tune, yeah.
I'd like to avail you of your services. We could have done it in a sort of Gary Barlow crooner session styly if I thought ahead a bit more. But
okay. Oh gosh, it's so long since I've listened to that song, but yeah, nice. Okay, I'm going to write that down and listen to it after this.
Yeah, do. We'll have a play of it one day when we can get together. Hopefully, it won't be as long as it's been since I last saw you. Now, one other thing that did happen over lockdown that I'm assuming you were quite pleased about was Liverpool winning the Premier League Championship for the first time in 30 years. I'm hoping that you were quite pleased about that.
Yes. It seems like it's a memory now, but it was that was quite something. Yeah, I mean, it was up. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just trying to remember it now that there was the last game against Spurs, wasn't it? That was the final game. It was a bit of a climax, but it was one that it was up in 2005 Champions League. I don't think it even eclipsed that though. For me, that was the best of the best for me. But yeah, great. I mean, it hasn't really. We haven't had the consistency again this season, but it's been a funny season, been a strange season.
What have you?
But it's been quite exciting actually. I've quite liked this season.
Have you? Okay, I was going to say, how have you found football without fans? What's your sort of take on it? You found it quite interesting. Been some interesting results, I suppose.
It's a bit odd. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's a bit disconcerting to watch, I have to say. It takes some getting used to watch it. But yeah, I've cooled off on watching football a little bit this season. I haven't been following it quite so closely, and I haven't been following sport generally speaking, because I used to be a big tennis fan, watched a lot of tennis and golf as well. But I just with the kids and work and domestic things and stuff, unfortunately I've had to just draw a line in it a bit this season. But I was doing quite well up to about Christmas, but since then it's just I've tried to get fit, so I've been in the gym doing that stuff, and and I've been what else have I been doing? I've been buying a bit of cryptocurrency. I don't know if you're into that, are you, Dan?
No, tell me more.
Bit of cryptocurrency. Yeah, well, it's just keep it under your hat.
Okay.
Maybe have a look at that. I've been investing a little bit here and there, which has been done okay. So yeah, that's taken up a bit of my time. I get a bit obsessed with these things once I start on them. It's a bit like poker. I was into poker for years, and I really, really, really got into it. I can't just do things a little bit. I have to go for it. So that was a bit of a 5 or 6 year time waste for me. And now it's cryptocurrency and trading. So I'm trying to keep a lid on it and keep doing music as well.
Yeah. Very good. It's your. Is it you growing? It's you growing as a person. You're moving through. You've done your sport. You've done your poker. Now it's stocks and shares and investments.
Yeah, now it's stocks and shares. Yeah, I think it's just getting older, isn't it? Just stocks and shares sounds like an old person's thing to do, doesn't it? I've been trying to play a bit. Actually, to be fair, I've been like I say, I've been to the driving range just opposite you a few times, Pine Ridge and Silvermere as well in Weybridge. So yeah, I've been trying to play a little bit, even though I suck at golf so bad. But
me too. Let's play. Yeah.
Let's suck. Yeah, let's both suck together. I mean, it's It's a shame. It's one of those things. I love it. I love golf. I love watching golf. And yeah, I get a lot of pleasure about playing golf, and I've played all over the place. But you know, even on tour, nipped out for some golf games. But I just need lessons. It's just been years, and I've never had lessons. It's one of those things. It's like I expect that I can get better just by doing the same wrong things over and over again. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
I mean, I find with golf that I'll hit a really good shot and I'll think, okay, well, I don't know what I did any different to the one I did just now that went, you know, completely the other way.
Exactly.
And then just kind of, yeah, you know, well, it's a bit like songs, really. Like, three shots in 10 are good.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, that's the general principle, isn't it, of success? Yeah. Unfortunately, if you're on the golf course and you've got, you know, a group of 4 standing there that are waiting for you to tee off, and you've got to tee off in front of loads of people who have all got like the gear on and everything, and it's just you're just so nervous. Never going to work.
Yeah. But no, let's do it. Let's go and play around on. And we've got 5 minutes to rub together. What's next for you then? Gigs and stuff started to be lined up. You talked about obviously, you know, getting organised with planning and things. Is there anything definitely booked in yet, or?
At the moment, there's only one booked in at the moment in the UK, which is in Southend, which is on the. Wait a minute, I've got to look professional. Bring up my calendar now to find out what date it is. It is on the 29th of June, I believe. Gosh, I'm gonna have to hold on. I've got to confirm that. That's terrible. But yeah, I've done the South End show. I've done probably about five times. It's called the Jazz Mix, and it used to be in the Cliffs Pavilion, which is a big venue in South End. It used to be in the function rooms underneath the main arena, but they've moved it now to another rooms which look great as well. Let me just look at the date while we talk it. Okay, it's the 24th of June, so Thursday the 24th of June.
Good job you checked, really. You'll be turning up on the 29th.
If anyone's out there listening and don't go on the 29th. But yeah, I'll just tell you briefly, it's at the Chalkwell Park Rooms in Southend-on-Sea. So if anyone's in Essex listening and they fancy a night out, you can book. Let me have a look how you can book. Well, first of all, go to my Facebook page. I'm going to post it up tonight, which is obviously Oli Silk or Oli Silk Music. I've got 2 pages, so you can go there and check it out. But yeah, Chalkwell Park Rooms on the 24th of June. That'll be a full band job. Looking forward to that. That'll be a good way to break ourselves back into the entertainment business. And there's other stuff, but I'm still waiting. I can't give anything away. I've got definitely some stuff. Yeah, it's July, and it's in London, but I'm waiting for what is a large organisation that shall remain nameless that I've played many shows for before, waiting for them to pull their fingers out and get through the red tape of actually putting shows on again. So, but we're looking at July for that. And I have actually got some stateside stuff. I had to cancel stuff in July. I just wasn't really confident with going over in July. Didn't know what the situation was going to be and didn't want to book anything too prematurely. So I decided to back out of those. But yeah, I've got. I'm doing a great. If any of your listeners fancy a trip to Florida to the Space Coast, just north of Cape Canaveral, there, beautiful surroundings. There's a smooth jazz weekend going on at the end of October. I think it's 29th, 30th, and 31st of October, which I'll be at. And you buy like a weekend package. I've got to say, it sounds pretty good. You get like all your food and your drink, and you get your room, and it's right on the beach and everything. It's beautiful. Nice. I've played there a few times before. And it's called smoothjazzgetaway.com if you want to, if anyone fancies a jaunt to Florida in October. Yeah, get in touch with me. I could probably get you a discount. So
there you go.
Yeah. That's exciting. Yeah, so I'm hoping to build that into a slightly longer tour through November, but you know, I've got my fingers very firmly crossed that nothing's going to go backwards, and we're just going to, you know, we're going to be good by the time we get there. I don't know.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So what is the one thing that you think you've learned about yourself through lockdown? What are you going to take forward into the future? from this experience of the last year or so?
Oh, damn, that's a hard question. So hard. Oh man. What have I learned about myself? Well, I've learned that I can be pretty disciplined when it comes to changing my nutritional habits, because in September I stopped eating carbohydrates pretty much. I went on a ketogenic diet, and pretty much it's sort of meat based diet, or it's replacing carbohydrates with protein and fat, because I was pretty fat at the time. And yeah, I've lost 2 stone on that, and I feel great. I've been at the gym as well, and it's I feel great. And yeah, I've greatly improved my everything, my fitness and my stamina, my, obviously my body shape and everything has improved. So I think and that was never me. Like, I could never stick to anything like that, like over a long period of time. I've tried gyms, I tried dieting so many times, in the past. I would always slip it back at this time, but for the long term. But yeah, it's great just to keep fit. It's like, I was never very fit, even though I was never sort of hugely overweight or anything. I was definitely one of those guys, I drank too much beer and ate too many pizzas, and just wasn't particularly in shape. So I've managed to regain that, and yeah, so I'm kind of quite proud of myself that I've actually stuck to something for a change.
Brilliant. No, good for you. That's fantastic. So
Yeah,
gigs coming up, good outlook on life, things going well, family and all of that is good. That's great to know, and fingers crossed that Barry comes over and you get to go around with him again, which will be cool. And you kind of said about a third single. Have you decided what the third single is going to be yet, or is that still?
I haven't yet. It's really in the lap of it's in the lap of the radio plugger at the record label. To an extent, I might put my I usually put my 2p's worth in and just tell him what I think, but usually gets overruled with what he thinks. But it's one of those situations where, if you've got a radio promoter or a radio plugger and they've picked the song, then generally they're going to work that song very hard because they've picked the song and they want it to work for you. Whereas if you pick a song and they go, I'm not sure about that, and you say, no, that's the one, then it almost, not saying that they sabotage it, of course, but maybe they don't work it so hard. Then they go,
less fast.
I told you should have gone with the one I suggested. So yeah, so I've left it up to him, and he's done great so far. He's picked two winners, so we'll see what he comes up with for the third one. Maybe I'm trying to think what I would pick. I'd pick the first song is called Just Can't Resist. I think I would probably pick that one, but he would probably have other ideas, I think.
We're going to have an exclusive performance that you sent through of Just Can't Resist at the end as well. It's a good groove.
Of course, yes, I did that a couple of days ago in the studio, so yeah, that should be cool. Hope it's okay.
Fabulous. And do check out, as Oli said, do check out his Facebook page, check out olisilk.com. Is that right? Yeah. I think he's nodding. For all the latest goings on
various social media sites.
Yeah, to see what he's up to, see where he's about, and do have a listen to his stuff. It is I love it, actually. It's particularly good for working at home. It's good music to have on, and but I do find myself humming along, drumming along, trying to type along to the rhythm, which some songs are easier than others to type to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
excellent. Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. I'm glad I'm helping your work day.
Well, you are.
Yeah, got a little bit more smoothly.
Any spelling mistakes are your more up tempo numbers. I can't keep up with it.
You're trying to write 80 words a minute.
Yeah. Ollie, it's been brilliant catching up with you. As I said, I'm really pleased everything's going really well for you. We look forward to the new single. We look forward to seeing you out and about. And also, at some point, look forward to A Round of Golf and album number 7. Not necessarily in that order. We'll see.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Okay, mate. All the best to you. See you
Cheers, mate.
later.
Cheers.